Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself is not only an excellent book written by Dr. Joe Dispenza, but it's also a really, really good meditation. Now, you don't have to read the book in order to do the meditation. I recommend reading the book because it is an excellent read and it's a very good starting point for doing his work. But this meditation is about an hour long, and it deals with letting go of an emotion that you no longer want to hang on to. He has a list in his book where he lists many different emotions. Now, these are just examples of emotions that you can let go of. And then he also has another chart that is some feeling that you feel when you feel that emotion. And so that's the main point of this meditation. So in this meditation, if you're like me, I have a hard time getting into the blackness. I guess staying in the blackness because you're really focusing on a lot of stuff. Your mind starts to wander when he's not saying a lot and there's just kind of music going. But this one, he really, really kind of just steps you through every little step of it because it is kind of a first stepping point in his meditations. But for me, having done lots of meditations, I still love this one. It hits me so hard. He walks you through it, and he does the body parts. He has two different versions of it. He has the body parts and he has water rising. And body parts, if you're familiar with his meditations, he just kind of says, can you feel your eyes and the space it takes up? Can you sense your throat and the space it takes up? And then the room and different things like that. The water rising is imagining water rising up in the room. I never got that one just because it kind of, for me, it kind of seems like, oh, am I drowning? But some people kind of like the relaxing feeling of water, so you might like that version of it. But I went ahead and I purchased the body parts version, and I really love it. Now, this meditation, when I do it, I pick an emotion that just kind of comes to me. I may look at that chart, or I've even gone online and just look up a list of emotions, and I'll kind of pick one that really kind of stands out at me, because that kind of means maybe I need to do it. If you're into muscle testing, a couple of years ago I made a video about muscle testing for like foods and things. If you're into muscle testing, I've actually muscle tested different emotions sometimes when I'm just like, I don't know what to do, and I'll muscle test, because your body, with muscle testing, your body kind of tells you what it needs work on. And so muscle testing, I can show you just real brief. You just kind of close your eyes and you can ask your body to show you yes or no. And most of the time, and you just stand really still most of the time, yes means your body leans forward, no means your body leans backwards. You can look up other videos on how to do this too. But I'll muscle test and I'll ask some different emotions, like should I do emotions in this row, this row, this row? I have like a sheet of paper. And then I'll kind of narrow it down to an emotion. You don't have to do all that. If you just know there's an emotion inside of you that's kind of eating at you that you don't like and you want to let go of, focus on that emotion during this meditation. So when I do this meditation, I can only do it once a week, maybe even have to go longer between that. This meditation is so powerful to me. It is probably one of the most powerful meditations because almost every single time I have done this meditation, I get what you may have heard of called the Dispenza flu. I get some kind of reaction in my body. Usually it's me being really, really tired. I'll feel great coming out of it, and it's just so powerful, and I get really deep into it just because of the music and the way he walks you through it. But maybe later that day or the next day, there's been days where I just like get to this point to where I just have to crash. I have to sit on the couch. I'm really sleepy. I have had some purging going on in my stomach sometimes, maybe a headache or something. But most of the time it's just my body getting really, really tired. I think because my body is processing letting go of that emotion and moving into the future, that my body needs time to kind of rewire itself, I guess you could say. I just did this one a few days ago, and I was just sitting in the living room with my husband, and all of a sudden I could not keep my eyes open at all, and I fell asleep, and it was like 8:30 at night, and that's not me at all. I'm usually just going. So it does hit me really hard. The one time it didn't hit me hard was very interesting. There's a part in the meditation where towards the end, he tells you to ask for a sign from the universe, basically, that that this was heard and that this will work out for you, and you'll let go of this or whatever. And that part of the meditation always kind of confused me. I was like, well, do I need to ask for a sign? It says ask for a sign from the universe, but I was thinking of a specific sign. So I started looking for a specific sign. And I was on my way to Florida, and I did this meditation, and at the end, I thought Dragonfly. I don't know why that came in my head. I just thought Dragonfly. And so after the meditation, my husband asked me, what emotion did you work on? And I could not recall what emotion I worked on. And like the next few days, I was like, I still to this day, I don't know what emotion I worked on that day. And the reason I think is because I think I truly let go whatever that emotion was. Because, you know, when you ask for a sign, you're kind of looking for it. You're like, okay, where's the dragonfly? Am I going to see one? I'm going to see one, whatever. And it was November, so I don't know, dragonflies are really out in November, whatever. So we're going to Florida. And this was when we stopped in Pensacola. And then we got to Orlando. And I think this was maybe 2 days after I'd done this meditation. My kids, we were inside a store in Disney Springs, and then my kids were like, Mom, come here, look. And then on the wall was this giant, I've never seen a dragonfly this big, a giant dragonfly. And right then I knew that was my sign from the universe that I had been heard and this was worked out. Because like I said, I couldn't remember the emotion, and here was my sign, and it was so vivid, so clear, and I could just feel it. He says you'll know it, and I knew it. I have not seen a dragonfly since that happened, or between that. That's the only time I've seen a dragonfly since that. It was a few months ago. So let me kind of step you through this. And you really need to get this meditation because it is life-changing, I guess you could say. So the first part he starts at is obviously the body parts or the water rising, whichever version you get. He has you kind of walk through that. And then he says this line. I love this line that he says. I can't probably quote it word for word, but he says, there's a powerful intelligence that inside of you that loves you so much, and it wants you to speak to it, and it'll do stuff for you. I can't remember. It's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. Maybe I'll put it up on the screen there for you. But then he starts going further and further into the meditation and says, you can't create a future holding on to the past. And that is very true, that if you're holding on to the past, how can you get to the future? Because you're still you don't want to be that past, but you're still hanging on to that, and you can't move forward hanging on to a particular emotion. And so he wants you to unmemorize that emotion. And I don't know if you've noticed in his meditations, he doesn't really ever have you focus on the past. He's just wanting you to always think of the future, what you want in the future, future. This is one meditation. You could say he has you think of the past, but he's not wanting you like a psychologist to relive the event or anything like that. He wants you to unmemorize the emotion so you can become aware of when you start feeling that emotion inside of you, so then you can let it go. And he talks about closing the gap. He talks about this in his book, and he shows a picture, I believe it's of two hands, and it's showing who you are to the world and who you are inside. And for most of us, we could probably say that we are a different person, what we show to the world, than what we really are inside. And closing that gap, we want to be the same person we show to the world that we are on the inside. And since I've been doing his work, I could tell you that I am definitely closing that gap. I've gotten to the point where I really don't care what people think about me. You know, I've gotten some comments on my YouTube channel. People are like, oh, you're faking it, or yeah, just stupid stuff. I'm like, whatever. I don't care. You can say whatever you want to me. I'm me, and I'm not going to pretend to be somebody that I need to appear to be to the world. Anyway, so closing that gap. We want to close that gap. And by freeing up those emotions, we get closer and closer to that person that we are inside and the person we are to the world. Now, it doesn't mean this has to come up and this has to come down. Whatever you meet, you just close that gap so you are who you are inside on the outside too. The reason also that he wants you to free up or to get rid of this emotion is to free up energy inside of you. This emotion that you particularly choose, let's just say you hold a lot of anger inside you. That's just a very common one. You have anger. You get angry about something somebody did to the past, or your husband did, or you're angry that, you don't have a lot of money, or just there's a lot of anger, because anger can be linked to a lot of things in your life. So let's just say it was anger. And so when you let go of that anger, you free up more energy inside of you in order to create your new future. and to be a better person. So you want to do this. You do this meditation as often as you want. You can do anger over and over and over again if you want to. You can do anger once and move on to another one, and then another one, another one, maybe come back to anger. Whatever you feel inside. If you still feel anger, come back to it, whatever. So you free up that emotion, and that you get more energy now to create your new future. So he gets to a part where he wants you to say that emotion out loud. Some people feel weird speaking out loud, but it really does help to say it out loud if you can. If you're kind of embarrassed because there's other people around. I don't know why there'd be other people around while you're meditating, but anyway, some people are kind of self-conscious about that. It really does help to say it out loud and say it like you mean it. It triggers something else in your brain to have that audible thing come out of you. So you say that emotion out loud. And then he wants you to take that emotion and surrender it to a greater mind. And the very first time I did this, it was just like, I felt this like drop, like it was like this weight lifted off of me, and this greater mind just took it away from me. And it was uplifting, relieving, or whatever you want to call it. Then he wants you, this is the part where you kind of go to the past, but not really. He wants you to observe yourself feeling this way. And that's kind of the unwiring it in your brain. You're not reliving it, but when you get angry, how do you feel when you get angry? And you're like, you kind of just like, you kind of feel angry. You don't have to think a particular thing that makes you angry. Just think of what anger makes you feel inside. And when you feel that, you're becoming aware of that. And then he moves into what he calls the change game. And so when he has you imagine you're in the shower and you feel that emotion coming up, or you're driving in your car and you feel that emotion coming up, you feel that anger inside. So he's having you become aware of anger. So when you are with your eyes open out of your meditation, you feel that anger coming, then you tell yourself, change. And he has you say that out loud 3 different times. Change, change, change. You'll see when you do it. But having you say that, it does make you become more aware when you're out in the world and you're just like, oh, somebody may cut you off, or, your husband may do that one thing that really bugs you, or your kids are not doing what you want, and you're just like, you feel that anger. Once you start feeling that, then it's like you can say it out loud or just say in your head, change. And then you become aware of that, and you've got this wire that's always going anger, anger, anger. And by you saying change, it's like it changes something inside of you to try to rewire it differently and to get rid of that feeling inside of you. You still have a right to be angry, but why? You're angry that your kids are not cleaning up in the living room? So what? Just figure out a different way to get them to do it. Work along with them. It makes you a different person. It takes away those lower frequency energies or those emotions that you don't want. If you vibrate at a higher frequency, you're not even going to have anger come up inside of you. And that's the point, is to try to get rid of all these lower frequency energy or emotions that you don't want, so you can make room for these better energies. Let's see, what does he do after that? After that, then he just has you imagine being a better person, being in a new life, how you would be without that inside of you. Without being angry, you'd be more happy and you'd be less stressed, and you can just imagine whatever you want to imagine. He kind of guides you along. That's why I like this meditation. He really, really, really guides you along in all of it. So you can just kind of imagine how you'd feel and open up your heart and your mind and any wonderful high emotions that you could feel in that moment, because the emotions, those high energy emotions, are what kind of brings it to you and makes it happen. And then he has you, of course, feel gratitude, and gratitude, as you know, is the ultimate state of receiving. And so when you feel that gratitude, you can feel that new life. And so all of this combined of reminding yourself of that old emotion, so if it does ever start coming up again, change. And then the combination of bringing that new thing to you, it's a little bit like changing boxes, get rid of the old and bringing the new. I just really, really like that. And then, of course, he has you come back to your body, whole new environment, whole new time. But I really, really like this meditation. if you don't own any of his, because I know some of you guys are hesitant to buy some of his on his website, this would be the number one that I recommend that you get, because it really does change you. Because some people I know will get lost in doing blessings of the energy centers, or, oh, I can't open up my heart, and the ones that where you open your heart, or I can't see myself in the future. This one is not so hard to see yourself in the future, because I think by bringing up that emotion, you just kind of think the opposite of what would I be without that emotion, and how would I feel. So this one is, I guess you could say, easy to do. And it really can change you. Anybody I've talked to after they do it for the first time, or they've done it many times, they just love it. So I really, really highly recommend you get Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself meditation. And if you haven't read the book, read the book. It's awesome. It's, I guess you could say, life-changing. All his books are really awesome. I would start with You Are the Placebo, then Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, and then Becoming Supernatural. They're all wonderful books, and I wish you the best of luck with your meditations, and let me know what your experiences have been with this meditation, if you have ever done it, because it is incredible.